In today's video, we welcome Ashley Avila and Zima from Marzano Academies, located in Centennial, Colorado. The two converse with Smith Cotton High School students on competency-based grading. These students, who are enrolled in a variety of programs that use CBE, give us their views on how it has affected their student lives. This episode is produced at Smith Cotton High School by the Queen City CAPS program.
Okay, well, we're excited to be here today. Welcome, everyone. And back, as always, Ashley Avila and
Zima.
And today we have some very special guests from Smith Cotton High School in Sedalia, Missouri. So we'll just let our guests introduce themselves.
I'm Wade Norton. I'm the building principal here at Smith Cotton High School.
I'm Bridger Belknap. I'm a senior here at Smith Cotton.
Nice. So just to get started, Mr. Norton, if you can just give us the background. What's your educational journey? How did you become a principal? How'd you land here in Sedalia? All the things.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised here in Sedalia, so I had to be here in Sedalia as my parents chose that for us. My educational journey, I went to school to be either a meteorologist or an archaeologist, but then that quickly changed and I went into the political science field. And then I took a job at the YMCA after-school program and kind of fell in love with education, working directly with the teachers and the students, and became an elementary school teacher. That led to my fifth grade teacher being my principal when I took my first job, and she looked at me and said, "You'll be the next principal here, so you need to get your master's degree." And I was like, "Well, that's not really what I was thinking about." And she said, "It doesn't matter, that's what you're doing." And that led me to become an elementary principal. And then one day we took an approach of service learning in one of my buildings I was leading, and we went to a conference and we saw a group of junior high students lead something, and that just truly just lit a fire and said, I want to work with older students. And I quickly sent a text message to the superintendent and said, if there's ever an opportunity to move up to secondary level, I would like that opportunity. And she directly called me. And I had no idea, but there were some internal changes happening, and I got the opportunity to move to our junior high here in Sedalia, and then transitioned here, and I've been here 13 years.
Okay, awesome. Great. And so we're focusing today, of course, on the work that you've been doing here at Smith Cotton High School with competency-based education. So now I got to put you back in the hot seat, and I promise we'll go to someone else. But talk to us about CBE. When did you hear about it? How did you know you wanted it?
So COVID actually led us towards our CBE journey. We were very frustrated. We were burned out. We were in a system that we were just not happy with. We were not happy with the students that we were producing. We knew we could do better for our students. We knew we could do better for our community, and a group of educators met with me, and we decided to blow it up. And those were our terms, and anything was on the table. And with that, we decided to write for an innovation waiver here in Sedalia with the state of Missouri, and that allowed us to join a network called the SRSN network. And they brought some people down, and they were talking about their CBE journey. We delved deeper into that, and that led us to the decision to start that journey. We knew we wanted to make it ours. We knew it had to fit our community. We knew it had to fit our students and our school. And that led us to working with Marzano and continuing that approach with CBE.
Great. So, we always say that context is king, right? That you've got to make it fit your own. And that's awesome that you're doing it. And Bridger, you can also add in on this too. One of the things we want to focus on within the podcast is the personalized aspect of it, right? So a lot of times we say competency-based. In the state of Maine, when we first started it, it was called learner-centered proficiency-based. And then when the primary champion of it stopped working in the state government, people dropped the personalized very quickly, right? The learner-centered part. So I kind of want to go back to that. How do you feel, and even though you guys are new on the journey, how do you feel it brings in that personalized aspect for the learner? How does that, what does it look like? Bridger, in your classes, have you noticed a shift to your, more about you and your learning and how you're doing as a learner, what you need to do as a learner? How does the personalized aspect come in here at Smith Cotton?
So an analogy I like to use a lot is Before, with the traditional system, school felt like a game with like bonus points, late work, all this other extra stuff that I have to do to get the A. And that's all I was working towards was an A in the class. I didn't care how I got it. And now it feels more like I'm building my way up to a 3.0 or a 4.0, and it's more focused on me learning than me getting an A, because really an analogy that, or a way that it's been put is, if I have a 95% in the class, I don't know where my 5% that I'm missing is. With CBE, I know exactly what I need to do to improve and get to that 3.0 or that 4.0 level. So it's definitely, it puts more focus into my learning than just playing the game and getting an A in the class.
Well, and what I think is cool, and it's something we talk about a lot when we get into assessment validity and unidimensionality and all those really cool CBE terms, but two kids, back to your point, can be a 95% for two very different reasons, right? And so same thing with the proficiency scales. You may be at a 3.5 and you're trying to get a 4, and maybe Bill's in the same place, but it's personalized to you now, right? It's not like, well, everybody just does this one thing and we're all going to fix it. Everybody's kind of focusing on what they need, which, you know, as many years working with kids, it feels fair. It feels like it makes sense. Like, I'm doing what I need and not what everybody else maybe needs. Would you say that's a fair assessment of how it's been going? I know you guys are early into the work though.
Yeah. So, and a big thing that we've implemented recently is PLP classes, personalized learning path. So each student can move at their own pace, work on what they need to work on. And like in math, if I already know how to multiply, I can just skip the multiplication section and work on division if I need to. So with the PLP learning especially, that really focuses on a student's individual path rather than having the whole classroom moving together.
And I would take it just a little bit different. We're very early on with our CBE journey, and there's still pieces that we haven't even touched to get to that core values of CBE. Scale work was where we started, and I think the scale work took our teachers, took our students to a different level. It individualized what we were looking at. It allowed the students to see, as Bridger said, where they're at, where they've come from, and where they can go. But it also allowed our teachers to actually take the standards that we've always talked about. Every time we get a state assessment, we talk about our standards. Every time we get this, but it allowed our teachers to actually say, this is the important standard. These are the important standards that I want to teach, and I want my students to show proficiency in that class. And the next step, it allowed us to have conversations, because that was another key part that I wanted, was better communication. I don't want the student to go home. I use Bridger as an example. When we started this and we were explaining CBE to parents, I asked Bridger, how do you get to that? And he goes, well, how do you improve your math test? You got an 87%, you want to get an A, what do you have to do? I have to work harder, I have to study harder. Scales are allowing the students to see what they need to study, not just I need to get a better score. And it allows the parents to have the scales in front of them at home and to be able to have those deeper conversations with their students. They can say, okay, here's the standard, here's where we want you to get. What are you missing? What are you doing in class to get there? Or what can I help you with? Instead of just saying, study harder, study longer. So
I absolutely love that, because I think, one of the reasons why, and I know you guys are new to the journey, is you're keeping it focused on learning, right? Too often, and a lot of times, people start thinking CBE is about a different way to grade. And it's not about grading. It's about helping the learner understand what they need to do to learn. And that's what I'm hearing from both of you, is the scales are giving you that avenue of, okay, well, what am I still missing? What am I still missing to get there? And that's where that big personalization comes from. Mm-hmm. And it also helps the educators in the building start communicating with each other around, well, how are we going to help this learner move to this piece? So that's where it really does start to become personalized. Sometimes we think of the personalization or the learner-centered being, oh, well, they get to just go and learn whatever they want, instead of, no, there's still structure to it. There's still the channels of learning, and it really begins with the proficiency scale. So you guys are in the right place and having those conversations, but you're keeping the right focus. So I think that's good to hear.
Another big misconception, and maybe you can speak to this, Bridger, is like people sometimes think, oh, CBE, the kids just do it on their own, right? And the teacher like doesn't matter anymore. The teacher just goes in the corner and waits for somebody to call their name type of stuff, which in my experience is such a misconception. So can you speak to like in your classes now that are really, trying to implement CBE, do you feel there's any validity to the teacher is less important, or would you say maybe it's the opposite or somewhere in the middle?
I would say for me, I really haven't noticed a huge difference in how they are teaching me. Like, it's the same content that I'm learning, and we're learning it in similar ways. That, like, the teacher is still heavily involved with the grading process and the instructional process, because that's what a teacher does. They're there to teach you what you need to learn. So I think, yeah, it's a misconception that teachers just aren't important, because I need a teacher to learn my subject.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that was a misconception from the teaching staff, from our educators, because every time you bring in new professional development, it means a change. It means a shift. And they went directly to, it was going to shift the importance of what they were doing in the classroom. But I think now that teachers are getting deeper into it, it actually helped better educate them on what their standards were, but we weren't changing really the instructional ways they were teaching, because they are the instructional experts within the classroom. It was just a better way of communicating what they were doing with the outside parties.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. Again, that's just something we see a lot as people go to the extreme. Like, oh, the kids just do it on their own, and, I'm just there, as a tutor. It's like, no, right? And specifically, back to your point, not only breaking those standards down and building those scales, but you've got to provide quality work to kids that allow them to demonstrate their learning. So if nothing else, I think the teacher becomes more important, because in order to let the kids move at a certain pace or be on their own, all of that front loading and all of that really important knowledge that only the teacher has to be there, and that work has to be done.
Yeah. I and Bridger, you kind of mentioned this, that, you're not playing the game anymore. And I think that's what I really like about, like, even as the teacher, because the teachers hate that game, and so with the scales and with the work around learning, it doesn't become more, well, how do I get these 5 extra points? It's like, you give me the evidence. And then it's like, okay, well, how do I generate the evidence? It's like, and then the teacher can work with you on what you need, teaching you that scale, but more importantly, teaching you how to learn, as we were talking about. And I know you're interested in going on and studying engineering. Do you think this system, because you're a senior now in getting into this system, and you had spent a lot of your educational years without the proficiency scales and this kind of approach to CBE, do you feel that this is helping you better learn what it means to learn so that you can take advantage of that once you get to college?
Yes, 100%. And a common misconception or question that I get asked is, how am I going to transition back to the traditional system in college? And it's really it's different, but it's the same, because with the scales, it's about learning. So instead of just doing my work, I have to show that I know something. And so preparing me for higher education in my career in general, instead of focusing on just doing my work and learning towards an outcome or a goal, I think it's definitely helped with that.
Great.
Okay. So now I feel like we're going to have to do something funny, just because based off of how we're going to record. I think we're going to say something that will hopefully, sorry, editing people, just be kind of final thoughts, right? And we'll have to just patch everybody in. So, if you could, maybe we call it your 2 cents, your final thoughts, like if you could communicate anything about either competency-based or why you think this is the right work for not only just Smith Cotton High School, maybe just the greater educational community, right? What would be your 2 cents or your final thoughts on that? We'll start with you.
My final thoughts, I don't know if it's funny or not, but my final thoughts with this journey and what it's brought, it has brought true learning forward for all parties. And I've been in education, this is year 29 for me. I have not seen that before. And I've had the experiences at elementary and at the secondary level, and this is as close to feeling like an elementary building as I have felt at the secondary level. And that might seem weird to say, but we are at the true heart of looking at our learners, and that's what elementaries do, because they start at the base. They start at those foundational rocks, and sometimes in secondary we forget. We forget that our students are still young, they're still learning, and they can still be molded. And I think that's what CBE has brought forward here with our work at scales, with looking at our assessments. It's brought that forward, that we need to still have that direct instruction, but we also need to have better pieces of information to give to our students. We just can't depend on them to say and understand what a grade is. We are using the scales now to show where their learning is at. And I think that might sound elementary because we're giving them pieces of paper and saying, here's where you're at. But I think that's how we still learn as adults. That's how we still have to adjust. Mm-hmm. And I think the scale work from a real world standard is showing the students that you are never finished. And you have to show proof of where you're at, and you can always grow. Just because even if you're at a 4, you can still grow within that, and you can expand that and go down with it. And the other piece that I wanted to bring is teaching students how to fail. And I think the CBE work, that sounds funny, but it's teaching the students that it's okay to be down here, but it's never okay to stay down there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now they know, okay, I am missing this foundational piece. If I get this, I think I can move up. And I don't think they've ever seen that before in a traditional system.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's very important stuff. All right, what's your 2 cents, Bridger?
For me, it feels like I am in control of my own learning, and in CBE, it gives the student a lot more agency and control of what they learn. And with me, so in the real world, we're not assessed on a grade, right? In your job, you don't get an A, B, C, or D. So I think the scales help prepare me for actually being in a career where I know where I need to improve instead of just getting an A. So
yeah. Okay. These guys who edit are going to kill me. I'm realizing if you could go back and just pretend, can you introduce yourself again and say you're senior? And then could you say, like, I'm interested in pursuing a career in engineering? I think that'll help to bring some of what we talked about today.
And I've got a 2 cents added on to his.
Can I
add that on real quick?
Hey, you're the
Can
boss.
I use you as an example? Okay.
You're the boss.
So I think one thing that it's done for our students, and I've watched it in Bridger, I think if you would have, Bridger has done a really good job of looking at himself. And I think that has come down to that Bridger just got his, I don't know if it's going to be his final, but he just got his ACT results back. And he was missing some key pieces. And I think that if he would have stayed in a traditional system, I think he would have been stuck with, I'm an A student. Why do I need to listen? I don't know why I'm not getting the score on this test. But I think the CBE work that we've done these past 2 years, Bridger knew who to go to. Bridger knew that he needed to find that missing piece. He knew there was something missing, and he was able to raise his score up to get it to a
35.
Ooh.
He wouldn't have got there without it, my opinion.
I'm not worthy to. Okay, so it'll be like no context, but if you can just kind of take a second so they can splice and just reintroduce yourself and give that context.
My name is Bridger Belknap. I'm a senior here at Smith Cotton, and I'm interested in pursuing an engineering degree.
Cool. I think we'll do that with all the
Okay.
kids moving forward, but I think that'll be a nice, context to see the variety. So somebody who is interested in a career in such a intensive and precise field thinks this is preparing them for that. Nice. Bill, do you want to ask any more questions, or anybody want to add a 1 cent to their 2 cents?
No.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. This
Okay.
was wonderful.
I know. And then we'll just kind of bring our next. Are they here?
They're
Okay,
here.
They're here
already.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you,
Good.
guys.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Bridger. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'll come back and get you on
Yes.
this stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
This is what we need, Bill. We need like a studio. It just wouldn't make sense because we don't.
No, we're
live
not
in the
together.
same- Wouldn't make sense. Like this is what Pam has. If you watch Dr. Swanson.
Oh yeah, no, I already
Yeah.
did my interview.
Did your
with her.
market research?
Sure.
Oh my God! Yes.
We'll
Yeah.
go 2 and 2.
Yeah. Sure.
Sure.
Oh. Need that. No one's letting you in without that. So they color code the lanyards by grade level. So
Oh,
they
is that
kind
what
of
it is?
visually see. Yeah. Yes. So pink are the seniors, so they go through and color code.
Hi.
Hi guys. I love they have the name tag. I don't know if that's incidental.
I forgot my lanyard.
Oh, got you.
The one day I forget.
Yes, naturally.
So what grade are you guys?
I'm freshman.
Freshman.
I'm a junior.
Junior.
Ooh.
Great.
Okay. So we're doing it in a strange kind of way because we're obviously moving you in phases. So now we're going to go back and pretend we've just introduced because our thought would be at the end, nobody would know that we weren't all just sitting here at the same time. So we'll have you introduce yourself like
Are you gonna
all
have to
10 of
put your
us
mic
were
in?
all just sitting here at the same time. Do you guys need to check their sound before we get going?
Just, can you put your mic closer? That's it. We have.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Everybody else is good?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, so we're just going to have you kind of just, we'll go with you and then we'll go with you. Just introduce yourself, say your name. You don't have to say your last name if you don't want to. Say your first name, your grade level, and if you know, like, kind of what you're interested in doing in terms of after high school, you can. And if you're undecided, you know, that feels okay too. All right, so go ahead and start.
My name is Steven. I'm a junior, and I'm interested in doing something with the medical side of things.
Nice.
My name is Shay. I'm a freshman, and I want to be probably a pharmacist.
Nice. All right, Bill, you want to kick it off with questions?
Sure. So, what do you guys think about school? Just
Like
in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting that one. I think, I think most of us can say that we have good days and bad days about it. And some days it's like, okay, I'm not like dreading going to school. And other days it's like, okay, I want to stay home right now.
If I'm gonna be honest, I don't really like school, but I mean it's a requirement, and I do try my best at it as well. So, just something to get done, I guess.
That's fair.
Good.
Guys, just so you know, you're going to get older one day and get a job, and it's not going to change. Some days you're going to wake up excited to go to work, and other days you're going to
Other
say,
days.
oh, do
Yeah.
I have to work today?
And just so you guys know, I'm a superintendent, or I was, right? I'm retired now. And I very much disliked school. School to me was a place to go to see my friends and to kind of hang out. Much like you were saying, it's just something I had to do to get to the next level. That's what my family expected. I had to go to school. But I was never kind of into pieces that it felt like it was about me. It was about doing these things. Do you feel that school is preparing you for what you want to do?
Aside from like the couple medical classes I've taken, like every other class, not as much as I'd like it to.
For me, it seemed like some classes, it was preparing me for it. And now it's like, okay, we're getting really deep into math and English. And I don't know when I'm going to use adjectives on a daily basis, like word-wise, like knowing what an adjective is. But, I mean, I think when it comes to math and stuff like that, it's still useful in like your everyday job lives.
Okay. So Bill and I, we work for this company. It's called Marzano Academies. And the reason that we're really here in Smith Cotton is that you guys are working with us on this amazing thing called competency-based education, right? So you see the proficiency scales in some of your classes and, learning targets and trackers and all of those things. So what's been your experience with that? I know, as a freshman, you obviously have been in school for many years, but your first year in high school as opposed to a junior where like you were here for 2 years and things were one way and now all of a sudden things are starting to change. So if you can kind of speak to that transition, it's okay to say you don't like it or it's not going well. That's perfectly fine. Just, give us your honest thoughts on, what we're doing here and if you think it's helping, hurting, et cetera.
Yeah. So since it is my first year, I didn't think that they've been doing it for 2 years now. Walking in, it's like I thought everybody was new to it too.
Okay.
Because it kind of seems like it's still very in the works. And I feel like once it gets more, everyone's on the same exact page, then it's going to be like a lot more helpful.
Okay. So you see the potential there.
Mm-hmm.
And your assessment is fair. I mean, we're really just getting things off the ground, right? We spent a lot of time making those proficiency scales and having conversations. So your assessment is accurate. We are in very early stages, but it's fair to say that your suspicion is as it continues to kind of take hold, like it will be good for learning and for kids?
I also didn't think that we were like the first school to do it. I thought everyone was doing it. So I didn't like realize that other schools were looking for us as an example. So I think that puts a lot more pressure on it for everyone to kind of step up their game.
Okay. All right, what are your thoughts?
For me, it really hasn't affected me much. I mean, it's the new scale system is it works. It has increased my quality of learning. I can't lie. I mean, I like being able to go back on certain assignments and try and get better on these scales. And it is a little different from like what we've been doing the past 2 years. I actually have a total of almost all my classes. All about one of my classes are CBE based. So it's pretty cool.
So you mentioned earlier, again, and we always appreciate the honesty. It's like school, I don't love it. It's something I have to do. You don't have to love CBE also. Does it make it feel a little bit more tolerable of like, okay, I don't really want to be here, but at least I can understand what I'm learning and why I need to learn it. Would you say that's fair? Or?
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty fair. Yeah.
Because I'm a really big proponent of like, all kids can learn if they see the value in it. And so I'm wondering how many other kids like you, now you're a rare case, like you don't want to be here, but you come anyway. What about, I'm sure you have classmates or friends who like, they don't want to be here and they either aren't coming or they're coming, but they're really not, doing their work or being involved in classes. Do you think that CBE and the scales might be something that could help kids like that get motivated to want to come to school or start doing their work?
I think for those type of kids, it's a lot easier to not fail. I think like when you go to school and you do the work and it's kind of divided into 2.0s and 3.0s, it's more like, okay, well, the 2.0 questions are really easy, so I can just do those and get by. So I think for them, it's probably a lot easier to not have to retake your classes.
Okay, interesting. Do you want to add anything to that?
I think this new system can be really helpful for those students because with these new scales, you can see exactly where a student's at. Like before, you just looked at the grade number, whatever they had, like they had an 80% or whatever. But now you can go more in depth. You can look at those scales and see exactly if they fall into a 2.0, 3.0 level and see where they need to work on.
That's great. So if you could design the school using the scales, do you have any idea what you would do different?
I think scales for some classrooms are a lot easier for others.
What do you mean by that?
Like, for example, I'm in PLP math, and that's like, it's your own pace. So for classes like that, it's a lot easier to be like, okay, I can go back and go to a 4.0. And I think having some teachers who are just now doing it, some of them don't really know exactly what they're doing, I want to say, like, in the nicest way possible. I think if I, like, had a school and I was doing scales, I'd make it, like, designed differently for every classroom.
Okay. So like meeting the type of class it is, because in some classes, like, oh, it makes a lot of sense here, and here I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I were to design it, I would try and get one like uniform system. I have a lot of CBE classes, so just walking into every classroom, it's always the way they teach it, the way is a lot more different. So I would design it so all teachers have to get like this one base idea of scales and how to implement them and teach them.
Okay, but what's interesting, and Bill kind of gave you an out. So in your perfect world, if you could design a school, it's sounding like both of you would have it be a CBE school, but you would make it in every classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you wouldn't vote to go back to the old way of just points and assignments and 5 points for this and 10 points for that. You'd stick with scales if you had your choice?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think I would.
Nice. Okay. Good. You want to ask anything else, Bill?
I did, but it's gone.
Okay. It might come back to you. So here's what we're going to do. Again, the people who edit this are like, not this girl again. So we have more kids coming in, but we're going to act like we're wrapping it up and we were all here together. So I'm going to give each of you an opportunity to give us like your last words, your 2 cents. That can either be about CBE in general or why you think maybe more schools, to your point, should consider doing something like this. But really, it's just your chance to, again, this will kind of be like the closing out. What do you want to say, your last thoughts, either on the topic of CBE or whether schools should or should not do this?
So I think change is hard. So I'd like to see more schools implement this, but it's obviously going to take a little, like a while for them to get used to it, especially for students who aren't interested at all. It's hard to get used to. We went from grading to this entire new system. Like I know a lot of students here that don't really like the scales because it's something new. They don't really want to. They've been doing this for like 12 years, something like that. They've been doing it for a long time, and all of a sudden they decide during high school they're gonna change it up on them. But if they can find a way to implement this change, maybe a little slowly, it could ease in for all the schools.
Nice.
I would say mine probably goes along with that. If you're a school that wants to start doing proficiency scales, I would say to probably ask your like faculty and stuff about it, because I think it's important to like come to a decision as a school and not just, oh, I want to do this and this person on a podcast says that it's cool, so we should do it.
Yeah, nice. So it has to be what's right for your school and your teachers. And I think what you guys are touching on is kind of, change is hard, right? And so with all due respect to some of your teachers, I mean, people like me, I learned in an old system too. So we're actually asking teachers to change the way they do something and they've never seen it done any other way, right? So for some of them, I think the want to do it is there. They believe in it. They want to do it, but it's hard because I've never seen anybody do it before. So I think that's why it's great that we do have some really brave people like your teachers you mentioned, like, hey, most of mine are doing it, because that helps your other teachers, go and see, oh, that's all I had to do. That's not that bad, right? And so, yeah, it would be better if it was like, hey, we're going to snap our fingers and every teacher is doing it. But we also have to be respectful of, just like your friends who are taking time to learn, we're trying to give that same time to some of the teachers who are just, they're scared or they're not really sure what to do first. But hearing students, I believe, speak and say, hey, if I could run my own school, I would choose it. That might be something that motivates a teacher who's scared to just start to say, I got to do this.
Yeah.
Right? Cool.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, one of the important things, and you guys probably know this, if you reflect back on things that you've done and had to learn and all the new skills that come up, sometimes you just got to do it, right? You just got to kind of try it, see what happens, see how it went. I don't know if you guys play sports or music or whatever, but like if you don't try that different shot, or if you don't try to play in a different key, you'll never know if you can do it or not. It's not until you have that struggle where it all of a sudden starts to become real. And that's really what proficiency scales are designed to do. It's not designed to change your grading system. It's not designed to do all that. It's designed to let you guys, as the learner, figure out where your struggle is so that you know what that feels like. So the next time it comes up and you need to learn something, you know what it feels like to learn and where you need to center your ideas. Because it's like, even at my age, I'm still learning things, and I have to learn things. If I don't learn, I'm not going to improve in my life. So that's kind of what we're trying to set up, is this. It's what they call an agentic mindset, where we want you guys to realize you have control over your life. But in order to do that, you got to have the right set of instructional manuals to control your life versus just being compliant and doing what the teacher tells you to do to get your points. Bridger was kind of talking about that. It's a really critical piece. Those scales are the cornerstone to help you realize what it means to learn And so hopefully as the teachers get more comfortable with it, you guys will start to see that. And maybe in your PLP math class, you are seeing that. And in the classes you are seeing how the scale can actually pinpoint, oh, actually, I am struggling right here, and I can feel that.
Okay. Unless anybody feels like, ooh, I really wanted to say this, I think we're good. Do you want to add anything? You're like, ooh, I forgot to say.
If you're a school and you're scared about it, and you're scared like your students are gonna like be mad at you about it, I'd say whenever they first told me, I was like, what the heck? What are you doing? What is going on? And now that I've been introduced to it in a better way, it's like, and I've talked to several students about it too. Everyone seems a lot happier with it now. So if you're just starting and your school's like hating you, it'll get better.
Okay, so like stick with it. Don't like, oh my gosh, everyone's mad. What are we gonna do? Like just keep moving forward, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And thank you. I appreciate you even like sitting with your friends and talking it through and being like, wait a minute, is this kind of better for us? And we just didn't realize it. Okay, thank you guys. Awesome.
you.
You did
Thanks.
so good. Thank you so much. Now we have to keep thinking of new questions to ask.
Well, we can ask the same ones because they could just edit. The magic of editing. Thank you. Enjoy.
Thank
Happy
you guys.
Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Oh,
Hi.
hey, how are
Oh,
you?
okay, taking a caps pit.
At the Caps Pit.
Okay.
Because,
Yeah.
they just aren't quite trained yet to take
That's
the pick.
okay.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Okay, now
How
you're
was
going to
it?
good auction that off. Who's putting that in their evidence
I
portfolio?
know, right?
You guys did great.
They
Thank
did
you.
awesome.
I appreciate
They did
it.
such a great job. Thank you guys.
Your first podcast?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
If this one goes
I'd say so.
viral, we'll cut you in on
Yeah.
the
How are you guys?
Good. Great.
Good.
I mean, this is awesome. I
This
texted
is
Kristen like
incredible.
2 days ago. I'm like, could we do a podcast with the kids? She's like, yep, sure.
Yeah,
Here we are.
that's right. They
Hi.
use it every Tuesday.
I mean, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I need a studio in my home. Talk to my
know,
tax
right?
guy. Yeah.
Some mics, some lights makes you
Yes,
look,
right. The
super
lighting.
fancy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have fun.
Of course. All right, I'm Nolan.
I know.
Hi, Nolan.
I'm Journey.
Hi, Journey. Yeah, we'll have it as soon as they
we're gonna
give
do
us
it.
the
Yeah, we
thumbs
gotta
up.
wait.
We'll
They gotta
introduce
tell
again.
us that our volume is good and
All
make
that.
sure our mic. I know they might make you move yours a little closer, Journey. I'm knowing that every time someone gets up, they push it out and then they make the next person push it in. So, but we'll refer to the expert. Oh, you got a little energy. That's good. He's on the struggle bus today.
It gets worse next week. I have hit orchestra rehearsal from
Oh my
5
gosh.
to 9 that whole week. And then next week it's 4 to 10. But
Oh my
it's
God.
Not as bad as robotics.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, tell 'em about
Whenever the season starts for robotics, we're there for like 8 weeks in a row till 9. It goes later almost every day. Every day of school.
Oh my
So
gosh.
like 4.
Sorry, completely.
Oh yeah, then weekends you don't have weekends. You're there from 8 to midnight half the time too.
Oh, wow.
But you
But you
love
love
it.
it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you do. I've learned a lot from it. That's
That's cool.
it's amazing.
Okay. Are they good? Or is their sound good? You need to check with them.
We'll find out.
Like,
Yeah.
Really, now they're talking to Miss Gray. They're not even paying attention.
We're a second thought.
How dare they?
Good. We're good to go.
So if you guys could just quickly just tell us your name, what grade you're in, and if you know, and you don't have to know, like, hey, after high school, I'm thinking about getting into a certain field, whatever it is, if you can say that.
Okay. I'm Nolan Frankum. I'm a senior at Smith Cotton, and I'm planning to pursue a bachelor's in mechanical engineering.
Okay.
I'm Journey Johnson. I'm a freshman at Smith Cotton, and I plan to go into the medical field either as a CRNA or for labor and delivery.
That's cool. Good. Well, first off, I just got to say, I'm going to go back for a second so we can edit this in. We're in the Smith Cotton High School in Sedalia, Missouri. We're using their podcast room, and this is absolutely an amazing space. I mean, we have the chairs set up and the microphones. So that and the lights, it's just this amazing production. What a cool opportunity they have.
Yeah, and the way I understand it is because the students that are here, those of you who are not watching the video version, we have students here and they are checking our sound and our lighting and they're recording and they're splicing, and this is all part of a program they call CAPS here. And so students are actually going to use this podcast episode as a piece of evidence for their learning portfolio. And they'll use proficiency scales to rate, their different skills that they're applying. So nothing is not, everything is important here.
That's awesome.
Right?
Are you guys part of that? Are you part of the podcast CAPS? Do you get credit for
I'm
that?
not part of the podcast CAPS, but I am part of CAPS. So I have the engineering manufacturing side of CAPS. I actually go out to Duke later today to see like job shadow and do stuff with them.
Okay, so tell us
Cool.
everything. Tell us how that works, and then if you can tie it into like how the proficiency scales work in that. They'll cut that out.
So for CAPS, it works like we go out there. They'll introduce us through tours, at least for the engineering side, about plants, factories, cool stuff like that. And then they usually have projects, or we can find our own projects that we want to work on, and we got to try and partner with a professional in that setting. And then we can apply, like say we communicate well, we dress well, stuff like that is valuable in the workplace. We have all those scales listed out for us, and we have to kind of argue to our scale that we met this scale because we did this and we did that, and we record all of our evidence with that.
So the scales that you're working on are not so much like content, like science or math. It's professionalism and those types of scales.
Yeah, they're professional communication, other skills like that. We like to call them soft skills because technically, if you really wanted to, you could bunker down in a room for a week and learn a ton of science in 1 week, but you can't do that for the soft skills, like communicating, knowing how to write an email, just stuff like that. That from what I've heard, whenever our like principals like Mr. Norton went out and asked our community what they're lacking in students, and that's where the whole vision of a graduate was born, was the soft skills were the skills that we're missing. So CAPS kind of comes in here to help fill that void.
Great. Journey, are you part of the CAPS as well?
You can't be in CAPS as a freshman.
Do you want to be? Is that
yeah.
an aspiration of yours? Because they have a medical strand.
I plan to, yeah.
Okay.
CAPS is typically for juniors and seniors. I believe that's the requirement now. I don't know if that's going to change later on, but that's kind of how it is. I believe it's that way because it's very beneficial to be able to drive during CAPS. So you can go out to other places in the community. So it makes sense for it to be just juniors and seniors.
So then, and you're talking about scales. You're a freshman. You've just kind of come in. You're using these scales. Talk to us about proficiency scales from your standpoint.
It's a lot different coming from using the old grading system, and now like every new unit will get a new paper with a new scale, and there's standards that you have to meet. Your brick, which is basically building up, your target, which is where you want to be, and then your rocket, which you're shooting past your target.
Nice. So compared to, again, and it's not specifically against that school, but compared to how school has worked for you before you came here to how things are going now, what do you say? Like, they can't see you, but thumbs up, thumbs middle, thumbs down. Like, do you like the scales or the direction of CBE compared to how you used to go learn in school?
I definitely go thumbs middle because there's some things that I do like and there's some things that I don't.
And now you have to tell us what you don't. Don't say any names, but now we need the tea, Journey.
I don't really like how the target is a 3.
Yeah.
And how your 4 is considered extra credit, even though it's just your 100%. That doesn't really make sense to me because if it's extra credit, you should be able to get more than 100%, but you can't. So it doesn't really seem like extra credit to me.
All right. You have any thoughts on that, Nolan?
Ask a question again for clarification, though I can answer it.
Okay, so the statement that she made is she's thumbs in the middle because one of the things that doesn't really feel great to her is like, okay, if I do a 4.0 in the old system, that's extra credit. So now I'm like above 100%, and here I'm doing extra, but I'm still hitting that like ceiling of 100%. So she's kind of thumbs in the middle on that. Fair enough. What are your thoughts on that?
So for me, I'm not in any scaled classes, I guess. My classes, well, actually, I'm in one that's chemistry, but I'm going to talk about more about from the CAP side too, because that's where most of my scale experience comes from, right? For the 4.0 with CAPS, it is kind of extra credit. It's in a weird limbo. You have to get 4.0s to, yes, succeed in CAPS, right? So I guess for me, it kind of makes sense to me for the 4.0 to be still your goal, because I think I fully can hit my 4.0 if I work hard enough to get it. So I still see it as, I guess I'm kind of indifferent too, because it seems like it's told as it's your extra credit, it's your above and beyond, but I mean, it's still a goal for me to work towards. That is just, I think, what I was supposed to do, I guess.
Okay. Because journey back to your point, when I taught high school seniors specifically for 15 years. And back in our old traditional grading system before we moved to CBE, we did have kids whose grade would be like 122% in my English class, right? So does something about getting to go over 100 just feel like really glittery and special, or?
Yeah, I like to go past the limits because my parents, I always try to live up to my younger sister, which sounds crazy.
She set the bar real high.
But she has all A's and everything, and she always excels. And so I want to also be in that light for my parents, so my sister can also have something to look up to.
Yeah.
Because last year I had a 125% in English, and now I have a 3.5.
Just wah, wah. And a 3.5 is incredible for our listeners, right? I mean, you not only met the target, you went past it. You have to put in extra effort and energy to earn a score that high. So kudos on that. What if I told you that, we're here today at Smith Cotton High School, but that myself and Bill, we are working in other schools and levels within the Sedalia 200 district. So, spoiler alert, these scales might be coming to junior highs, to grade schools. What would you say about that?
From what I know, almost all of 6th grade has already started on the CBE scale in the junior high. And from my sister, she says that she's in 7th grade, but she does say that the 6th graders seem to understand it really well. And she says that some of her friends are excelling in it and some just don't like it.
Yeah. But do you think, now let's just say 6th, 7th, and 8th grade start doing this, a year from now, is that going to make it better to come to high school and I've already done these scales, I get how they work, and I can just get down to business? When I get to high school, do you think that's going to make things better?
I do. Because they're already going to be familiar with how things work, so they won't be thrown into it and be like, whoa, I've never done this before.
Yeah, because it's kind of interesting because you're just starting here as a freshman, and then, of course, you've been here. Maybe not yourself because you're in CAPS, but do you feel like a lot of kids are having a whoa, what is this type of response to the scales?
Yes, there is a lot of very mixed opinions on the scales here, especially for those who are seniors and juniors right now, because they are completely used to the old grading system, right? And I think it goes back to playing the game. I assume you've heard that before, right?
Maybe once or twice.
But yeah, I think it's just a big change for at least having 1 or 2 years left. Why does this matter to me, I guess? But I mean, it's good.
What's interesting is when people say that, and if you try to unearth it, it becomes because it's harder, right? You can't play the game. I got used to playing the game, and I could play the game in my sleep, and I'm just a good student, and I'm going to get, the bonus for being a good student. So, it kind of works. But now you're asking me to actually produce evidence of my learning instead of just play the game. And sorry, editor. What's interesting is when I think back to my days in college, which was a long time ago, and I found some of my old report cards. An A, when I was in college, you had to go beyond. That's what it said on the thing. A B was what you did. If you did everything the professor asked you to do, you got a B. So somehow we went from an A meaning the exceeder to the A being the bar, that everybody gets an A, if you just do your work instead of you do your work, you go beyond. So B's were actually really good in my day, and A's were the exception. And in some way, when you're thinking about grading. But that's one of the tricks about the proficiency scale is it is not a grading tool. It's a tool that measures learning, and then how you convert that into being able to report to parents and colleges and things like that is what matters. But is what happens. But it's really about being able to determine where are you as a learner and what do you need to do next, which is some of the power in it. But grading is a big piece to us, especially those of us that need that to go to the next level of whatever schooling we need to go to, or career. The military expects a certain GPA in order to get there, and technical schools and four-year universities and everything. So it is an important piece, but helping people understand that. But that's usually where that pushback comes from is, wait, now you're asking me to do more? Well, yeah, because you haven't actually produced evidence. You did what I said, but you kind of missed a few things here. So, but that's why you get to go back. That's where that, you can then go back and, take that feedback and get better. And that's what actually helps you to learn.
I think Journey brought up something that I always love to talk about, which is parents, right? We all have them. That's how we're here. Bill, we're parents ourselves. So, how has the experience been trying to explain to your parents? Now, I'm going to age myself. When I was in school, my grandma would pay us for our grades. Anybody ever been paid for their grades before? Okay,
Yes.
well, get ready for this, Journey. I got a quarter for A's and I got a dime for B's.
Oh, wow.
Big money back in my day. So, help me to understand, have either of you talked with your parents about, hey, it's a little different now. I can't get 10 points of extra credit for a box of tissues anymore. I got to actually go back and do more work. And how have those conversations gone? Because you guys are becoming the teacher now. Because anybody older than you is like, what in the world is going on here?
Yeah.
So tell me how those conversations have gone if you've talked to your parents.
So with the first day of, I'll say, CATS back in junior year, my mom was the first person in line to ask questions about what this thing is that my son signed up for and how is he graded, how is this. And it's only been a learning struggle for her, and it's been for me as well, because it's something completely new. And I don't know if she completely understands it yet, but at least she understands it enough, or at least has enough trust into our administration that what we're doing here is the right way to go. Okay. And that's what I've had. And the conversations we've had is more like, how does this work? And I explain it, and because I've been explained it multiple times, because again, I immediately had no clue what this was, but it seems to have been coming around, and it's getting around. I'll just say that to finish it up. It's getting around.
Okay, cool. What about you?
For my parents, it's a lot different than how it was, because you used to start at an A and maintain it. Now you gotta work your way up. So they're like, why do you have a C? I'm like, the C is the best I can get right now. I'm technically at the top.
Yeah.
And because some proficiency scales, you can only get that 2.0, and then your next you can get a 3, and then your next you can get a 4, and you just got to provide however many pieces of evidence you need to show and prove that you're at that level. So they pretty much really well understood it, but it's different because my sister doesn't do it in her classes and I do. So sometimes they get it mixed up, and it's really just new for everyone. So it's more or less just teaching them how I'm being graded.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm just getting started. I shouldn't be expected to know every single thing on the very first day.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's hard for people to understand, definitely. So thank you guys for, taking that task on and trying to help them understand what we're trying to do here. But I love what you brought up, and that's been something that we've struggled with is, that immediate result. So back in the day, you take a quiz and it's 10 questions and you get them all correct and you're like, I have 100%, right? And now, like you spoke to, and I'll let you, add to it if you want, if it's a level 2 learning check and I get them all correct, my score is 2.0. And because we're in this strange system where we're trying something new, but people still expect it to look like something old, right? You hit your target. Your target was 2.0. Know it, knock it out of the park. You did that. But because we're trying to kind of be in two different worlds, somebody wants that to be a grade, and now the grade has to be C because that's working. And it's starting this whole weird messiness. So, what would you say to people who are getting that kind of like fear, anger, or anxiety about like, oh no, my grade is bad. I don't like this because it's messing my grades up, because I hear that from people a lot.
I would say take a deep breath, go back over your assignments, look at what you can improve, look at what you may want to redo, and just talk to your teacher in that class to see if there's another assignment that they can give you to do more evidence to prove that you're higher than you think you are.
Oh man, that was a great answer. Run that as like the snippet when you.
And then I would say trust in your teacher. They aren't here to fail you. They're here to help you learn the most you can. So if you truly have trust in your teacher, it's going to be uncomfortable at first, but it's got to be something you have to get used to. And that's just something that for the benefit of everyone, and just trust your teacher is what I would say.
That's great. Those are both incredible answers. But one thing I want to go back to, Journey, is what you said about the you're used to starting out at an A, and then it kind of goes down, which is real. I've never really thought of. I mean, obviously that's obvious, right? Yeah. And that's why insights that are obvious are always so like, oh, mind blowing. And so, because like in life, it's completely opposite. You're going to get hired, and they're going to be excited to have you, but you don't start out as an A. You're going to start out as, okay, what can you do for me, right? Mm-hmm. You're hired by a company to do something for them. And if you're not used to that process of having to work your way, right, to kind of build the knowledge and the skills to help the company be more successful, it's much more of a stronger life lesson to start out to realize I don't want to say starting out at the bottom, because that's not what it is, but you're starting out with a base of less knowledge than you're going to have to gain. If you don't gain knowledge at the company, then they're not going to want you around very long.
Yeah.
So that was really insightful. Thank you.
Yeah, and thinking even about the fields that both of you guys are interested in, right? Mechanical engineering, whether it's in the medical field. I think we all know, to Bill's point, we don't start day one as the boss or the supervisor, right? Mm-hmm. We start on those simpler tasks where we've got some qualifications, but we have to earn that trust through evidence, right? And so I love, that all kind of came full circle to the people who are maybe just really grade driven or whatever. It's like, this is how we prepare for what's to come next. Like, you're not going to automatically be the highest paid, most decorated person in your, company. You're going to start at the foundation, and that's where they're allowing you to be, and you got to ride it out until you have the evidence that you can, advance. So yeah, I mean, that was an aha for me. I heard you talk about what was an aha for you, and then
well, and Nolan hit on it too. Because boy, when I think about I think it's almost to the day as we sit here that AI is about 3 years, right? When ChatGPT came out, it came out right around Thanksgiving 3 years ago, and I just think about, boy, if you're working and you were talking about the importance of your professionalism and your the soft skills. If you don't know how to improve those soft skills, and they are skills, so you have to learn them, you have to practice them, you have to apply them. If you don't know those, you're not going to have a job because AI is going to do it better. If you're just about content and just about compliance, you're not going to stay employed. So I heard somebody say that the other day, that, as long as you're human, you should be able to, do the human jobs. Then you don't have to worry about AI. It's like, well, what does it mean to be a human? I mean, I am a human, so very interesting. So you both had really good moment where, where this is so important. And sometimes you don't have that soft skill. Like, I'm actually a very introverted person, and I've had to work to be more, extrovert, especially as a teacher where I have to stand and help kids learn, right? So that was something I had to work on. I had to build that confidence. Well, when you know how to build skill and you know how to learn, that can really set up that difference and keep you employed. So great, both of you, just great points.
I know. Okay, so we've been doing a little thing where we're wrapping up. So we're going to give everybody an opportunity to say, I've been calling it like your 2 cents. It can be on CBE, what you think about it. The topic can be, if schools had a choice, Do you believe they should choose to go in this direction? So we're leaving it kind of open. I give you a little guidance so that you don't just say, oh, no, now what do I say? Okay, so what are your kind of final thoughts, your last 2 cents around CBE or whether or not schools should pursue it on that?
I would say schools should definitely pursue CBE because I've gotten A's my entire life through school, right? And I'm a senior, I'm approaching the end of it. I think that back when I played the game during normal grade base like A's, B's, C's, a 95% was the same as a 97% in terms of your GPA getting on your transcript. They did not look at the extra 5% going on. So I have no incentive besides just for fun to get the extra 5%. And that impacts my learning because I can just skip out an assignment if I really wanted to if I was just going down the list, checking my Canvas scores and like, okay, I can miss this one assignment and have no penalty whatsoever besides my learning. But now with scales, there is no way for me to play the game that way. So now I'm required, but that's a good thing to learn what I need to learn, whether it's something I want to learn or whether it's a required course like English, right? And so I think it's very good for schools especially to implement this kind of learning. That way it helps force and push your top students to be even better.
Great, thank you. Well,
Cool.
Do you want to say any final thoughts, Bill?
Nope.
Okay. Well, this has been an absolutely incredible episode. We want to thank all of our guests from Smith Cotton High School and all of the students who are going to be, who hosted us and are going to fix all of the little blips and hiccups that we had. And we hope everybody, enjoyed and learned something. So again, as always, thank you for joining us. I'm Ashley Avila from Marzano Academies.
I'm Bill Zima.
Okay. And until next time.